We are live. We are live. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we are live. And tonight on the Huddle, we're going to be talking about 5 benefits to having an email list that's going to help you to build a loyal community. In the midst of change on social media, in the midst of change in live streaming, in the midst of change of algorithms of different platforms, we're going to get into the importance of building and putting together an email list that's going to help you have a loyal community. So do me a favor, grab a pen and grab a pad. It's time to go to work. Praise the Lord, everyone. Welcome to the Huddle, where we share tips and tools on making live streaming easy for you as a beginner. And so tonight, as we said in our opening, we're going to be talking about the importance of how to build a loyal community through using email lists. And so if you're new here tonight, or if you're a returning Huddle community member, do me a favor, let me know in the chat where you're watching me from. Give me a hashtag Team Live in the chat. And if you're watching the replay, give me a hashtag Team Replay in the comments. I already see several individuals that are jumping in, like my good man John Lacey from Learning Live Streaming with John Lacey. Great show last night with you and Sam. If you want to check out his live stream show on that he does every live at Friday nights at 7 p.m., my good man Ender Trading in the house as well. Good evening. You gentlemen joining me from Australia to Ireland, let me know in the chat where you're watching me from. What are you watching me on? Mobile? Are you watching me on desktop? Let us know as we get into this discussion. And you know, with the recent turn of events that's been going on, particular with TikTok, this content idea of talking about email marketing and having an email list really became crystal to me that this was something we needed to revisit. We've talked about it in the past on previous live streams on the Huddle, but I felt it was important to really touch more on this topic for us as content creators. Because if you're not aware, here in the United States, it was just recently passed by the Senate to put into law a proposed ban on TikTok, so that if the owners of TikTok do not facilitate the sale of their platform to a U.S.-based company within a year's time, there would be the consequences of their platform not being able to operate in the US, and the possibilities and the challenges that it would create, not possibilities, but the challenges it would create for individuals who have been using that platform over for the last several years. And so I got to thinking, okay, yes, we're seeing this happening on TikTok, but what are some other changes that are happening in social media, which is basically rented space? We don't own the platforms, but how it's going to affect us as creators if there are other changes. And so that's the reason why I wanted to get into this topic discussion. I mean, you look from it and like from an everyday platform like such as YouTube. YouTube has been making several changes to its algorithm in terms of how your content can get in front of the right audience and view your content. And so with those changes, and with YouTube being so oversaturated with new content creators every day, it's becoming more challenging to get in front of the right audience. And so you have those changes. You have the changes in terms of a live stream platform such as StreamYard being purchased by Bending Spoons, and now there is the the uncertainty about in terms of how the platform is going to move forward. And then, of course, as I said before, you have the TikTok issues that are going on. If it will be a platform that will exist in the U.S. if they don't comply within a year's time. And so when you look at all these changes that we as content creators can be faced with in trying to be able to connect with our audience and build the community, it it only, to me, it says to me that we have to have something that's constant. We have to have something that's reliable. We have to have something that we are in control of as viewers trust us with their email list. And so that's why I wanted to get into this tonight. And so my first point, normally I have live stream slides, but I kind of wanted to go off of my notes that I have on my other screen. So if you see me kind of moving to the other screen from time to time, that's because I'm reading my notes. An email list is going to allow me and you to have a direct and personal communication with our audience. When we create a platform such as MailChimp or some of these other email marketing platforms, it's going to allow me and you to have a direct and personal communication with them, to be able to share with them, our latest content, to be able to share with them about uh, a newsletter that we've released, or in terms of keeping our viewers in the know of what's going on and what we're doing and how it can be a great benefit. And so being able to have that direct and personal communication with our viewers, it then alleviates the challenge of when you release new content. Can we get that content in front of our viewers? I was listening to John on his show this past Friday, and he talked about in terms of how often do you have to continue to keep taking old content and putting it before on these platforms, because sometimes there is the misconception that once you post a piece of content, you have to just move on. And the point he was making, at because of these algorithms that are on YouTube and LinkedIn, and if you're a person who's on Instagram, um, chances is a large percentage of your viewers who follow or subscribe to your channel are not always going to see your content. They're not always going to turn on notifications. And so if you're kind of leaving it up to the platform itself, again, which is rented space, there is a strong possibility that your latest video that you worked so hard on in putting together, the latest short that you worked so hard in creating and posting, that you were hoping that a large percentage of your viewers would see, are possibly not going to see it if you're depending upon the algorithms of that platform. However, because email marketing and having an email list gives you a direct and personal connection with those who are subscribed to your email list, it gives you the opportunity to share that content in that email. It gives you the opportunity to share that latest content through a newsletter that you're doing. And so the benefit of having an email list that's going to help you build a loyal community is going to help you to get past the frustrating challenges of the algorithm of the platform that you're posting content to. And you feel like, okay, this is giving me a better shot at my content being seen. Now, there is something called an email opening rate in terms of when you do an email campaign or email blast, depending on how many people will open up your emails and read them and respond to them. Yes, there is that challenge there too. However, these individuals have committed and said, yes, I want to be a part of your email, because maybe they responded to a call to action that you put out before them. Like, for example, in our YouTube description of this video, you will find a link that will take you to our website where you can get a free copy of our Go Live checklist on helping you to be able to have a live stream that is engaging and that will help you to get in front of the right audience. So there's a call to action there. So once an individual commits to that and wants a copy of that checklist by downloading it, once they've signed to the email list, that individual is saying, I'm willing to be a part of your email list. And so it helps you to not have to deal with the algorithms. Another point on why an email list can help you build a loyal community is through having a website, and it's going to help you through that, them coming to your website, the possibilities of increasing your traffic on your website and the things that you have to offer your viewers on your website versus, again, depending upon a platform based on its algorithms or depending on a live streaming platform such as like StreamYard or Restream, where you have live events. I remember, forgive me for those who may be watching live or watching the replay. I believe it's been now a little over a year because of the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. Some of the information that I was getting over here in the States that Restream in some way had a connection with the country of Ukraine. And please correct me if I'm saying anything out of order, but from what I was hearing over in the States, that it could possibly hurt their ability to provide a constant stream to viewers who it or individuals who it partaken of their services. So when you have life events or political events that can impact upon a live stream company, or in the situation with Bending Spoons purchasing StreamYard, these types of scenarios, whether change of ownership or through conflicts where a company may be in another country, this can impact you as a creator in being able to connect with your audience. However, by having an email list, having a website, this is going to help you to be able to, in the event if those platforms are not available, you still can have a connection with your audience. You can have a connection with your community and being able to provide content to them. So in the event if a streaming platform is not available, you can get your latest content to your audience, to your community through your website. And so those are just two of the points that I wanted to share on how you can build a loyal community. I see a couple of comments here. And so let me kind of jump over here to these comments here and see what you guys are saying. Into Trading is saying, yes, outside of Kuala Lumpur, lovely morning here. Oh, okay. Gotcha. It's where he's at. John says it's a rainy old day here. I miss seeing the sun. Gotcha. All right. Was raining. Okay, perfect. Any comments that you guys have in relevance to our topic tonight? Definitely put a C in front of the comment, Q in front of the question. Not entirely sure where Restreams are based, but they have a Stand with Ukraine. Yes, and a Stand with Ukraine page. Yes, I did see that on their website, definitely. And yeah, I seen that as well. But these platforms, because they give us the ability to be able to have the benefit of interacting with a live audience and being able to post uploaded content, they're constantly changing. if this whole situation with the recent turn of event with the TikTok situation with, President Biden here now signing this law to end up impacting a company, even though it's a foreign company, and saying, hey, look, you have to now sell your company to a US based company, and depending on where you stand on the side of the fence on that, I'm looking at it from the standpoint of, look at the amount of viewers who use TikTok, and to now have to be, considering that they're going to have to end up moving their content to another platform. Those who follow them on TikTok, are they going to be willing to go to a platform such as a YouTube, such as Instagram? Are they going to be willing to make that type of move? We've seen this happen with Periscope when Twitter took over Periscope, and people who are on Periscope, not all of them transitioned over from Periscope to Twitter. And now to have Elon Musk now purchase Twitter to X. I'll be honest with you, it took me a minute to create an X account. I had always had a Twitter account. But when I started hearing about some of the things that Elon Musk was doing in terms of people losing their jobs, being laid off, and the amount of people that were that became a personal issue to me. And I said, if that's going to be your position on how you are going to let individuals go, I don't know if I want to be a part of your platform. But it took me some time to eventually come around to understand that despite how Elon Musk wanted to run his company, I started to understand that if I want to be able to have a better line of communications with other content creators such as John, such as Tech Troublemaker, who was in the chat tonight with us, these individuals have X's account. And so, okay, I said, if nothing more, I will use it just for a line of communication. Of if I need to send a DM to one of them, or if someone wants to send a DM to me. But again, when you have changes on different social media platforms, and you have changes to these platforms with the algorithms, which kind of makes it more challenging for your content to get in front of the right audience that you're trying to reach, having an email list is now more and more making more sense in these times that we're living in. And I have an email list, but have I really been building it and developing it to the point that I will have a loyal following of community there? No, because like myself and most content creators, if we be honest, we're focusing on trying to build our YouTube platforms. We're trying to get those first 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time. We're trying to hit certain milestones that we don't dedicate the amount of time that it takes to build an email list that will help us to have a loyal community that we can be able to have that personal and direct communication with, that we can be able to have increased website traffic with. And as a result, the email list takes a second, takes a step back of importance because of our importance of what we're trying to do on these platforms such as YouTube or LinkedIn. And so these turn of events have definitely, for me, opened my eyes to say, okay, when you look to communicate with an indie trader, when you look to communicate with Tech or John, you're definitely now going to have to make a more concerted effort in communicating with them. If you guys are a part of my email list, I think Tech, you are, you're gonna have to spend more of a concerted effort in communicating with them. Yes, we all have full-time jobs or careers. Yes, we all have family. Yes, we all have some type of important entrepreneur or community projects we're involved. But more and more in these online landscape, we're seeing changes happen where we have to kind of now shift. We have to shift now in terms of how we can stay in front of our audience. One of my favorite books that I have read um, when it comes to leadership in business is Who Moved My Cheese by Spencer Johnson. One of my favorite books I've read. And if you've ever read that book and you kind of understand the synopsis of it, it talks about I believe it was a high school reunion of good friends getting together. I believe it took place in Chicago, and they were all kind of sharing about their lives and where they're at right now, and how life has been good for some of them, and life has been challenging for others. And in particular, one individual shares in terms of the life journey that they had and the changes that they had to make, and they give the illustration of the story of Who Moved My Cheese, which talks about two mice, which I believe was Skip, Sniff, and Scurry. And the other one, the two individuals, the males, were Hem and Haw. Sound like you in the chat? Maybe not. Maybe definitely like myself. I've hemmed and hawed from a time when certain things didn't go my way. And being able to, the book talks about with Sniff and Scurry, recognizing when our cheese has been moved. And are we going to be like the humans of Hem and Haw and just hem and haw about something when we see our cheese has clearly been moved, but yet we're still standing there saying, put my cheese back, put my cheese back? Sounds like any YouTubers who's saying, the algorithm keeps changing and they want me to do shorts. And so I'm doing shorts. I'm averaging anywhere from 300 to 400 shorts, but the subscribers that I'm getting, they may not necessarily want long-term content. So then your cheese gets moved, and so you go into live streaming, and now you're live streaming for 2 to 3, 4 hours with maybe 5 to 10 people who are faithful to there, but you're only getting 1 to 2 subscribers. Sound like anyone you're hemming and you're hard. But then you have the mice who are Sniff and Scurry, and Sniff, he knows how to sniff out the new cheese, and Scurry puts his sneakers on, if you will, and he gets in there into the maze of life and begins to run and find the new cheese. Takes a while for one of the two individuals, I believe it was him. Yeah, I think it was him. Him eventually gets around to getting into the maze to go find new cheese. But as he gets halfway into the maze, he goes back thinking he can convince Hall to go out into the maze. And the truth of the matter is, Hall was just afraid. He was afraid of change. He was afraid of getting it back into the maze. And so him has to go back out there by himself. But eventually, him finds new cheese. And when he finds the new cheese, he finds Sniff and Scurry at the same place where they went. And I believe that's what we're seeing in online content creation. That's what we're seeing on these social media platforms. That's what we're seeing with these live streaming platforms. That's what we're seeing and and the things that what's going on even with AI tools. The cheese has been moved. But despite all of the stuff happening, getting back into the maze of content creation, email marketing is going to be the constant that me and you can use. Hey, if you're getting great value out of this discussion tonight on how to build a loyal community through email marketing and having an email list, do me a favor if you haven't already. If you're listening, click the like button for me. Hit that thumbs up. Share this on your favorite social media platform. If you got a comment tonight on this topic, I would really love to get your feedback on it. Put a C in front of the comment so I don't miss it. It'll help me to make sure I can recognize your comment, because you're investing your time to be able to be a part of this live stream, and I want you to be able to join the conversation. And I don't want to miss that point, such as this one right here where John says, yeah, change is constant. It keeps us on our toes. Exactly, sir. Exactly. Keeps us on our toes for sure. So we talked about direct and personal communication with your community. We've talked about how email marketing can help increase your website traffic. The other point I want to bring out is that it's going to help you to build relationships, build meaningful online relationships with individuals. Again, when an individual signs up to your email list through the call of action that you've put out to them, they are providing you an asset of something that's very important to them. They're entrusting you with their email list. And through that trust comes the opportunity now to build the relationships. And I think here is where the challenge for me in the past has been: when an individual entrusts me with that email, being able to put together a line of dialogue and communication that's meaningful to them. Because we are always being sent all types of alerts and direct messages through emails because of being connected through the social media platforms. But we're also getting emails through sales solicitations or maybe companies we've purchased. And so we're also getting spam emails, and now we're also getting emails that are not legitimate, that are suspicious emails, and you have to be cognizant of the fact and not clicking on a suspicious email you don't recognize that ultimately could be a phishing email while someone is trying to steal your data. And so you have all these things. And so being able to put together a line of dialogue and communication that's meaningful and in a consistent way where you're reaching out to you becomes very important. And so definitely in the coming weeks, in the coming months, that's definitely something I am going to be working on. I'm going to continue to post content on YouTube, videos and shorts and everything, and doing live streams. But the focus now for me, the shift for me is now communicating more and more to those who have already said yes, who are on my email list, to say, hey, wanted to just kind of touch base with you, see what's going on. Here's what's going on with me. Here's my latest content. How can I be more of a help to you? That's where more of my focus is going to be on. And so with the recent events, again, with the selling of StreamYard, the recent events with, TikTok having this proposed ban. And I use the TikTok because what we're seeing with TikTok could easily happen with another platform. It can happen with another platform. The change of ownership of Twitter to X. Again, Facebook with all the different changes that it's making. And again, all of the stuff that YouTube is doing with the changes with its algorithm. With all these different changes and trying to get your content in front of the right audience, the path for me, I believe, in the path for you, if you have an email marketing list, is going to be that list. What's your thoughts? Let me know in the comment section. Give me a seat in front of the comment for me. So we talked about building a relationship. The other thing I want to talk about here is, so that's that. So direct communication, increasing brand awareness. If you're an individual who's trying to build and develop your brand and having an online presence, we're seeing more and more the changes that social media is going through with all its different platforms. I remember when I first started wanting to build a brand awareness about myself and creating my Facebook page and wanting individuals to learn more about who I was as a content creator. I slowly began to understand that there was a price to that. And that price was you had to basically pay Facebook to promote you. And if you didn't know what you were doing and you were throwing money towards that, and if you didn't have the insight of how to do it properly, you were just basically throwing money out the window with the hopes that you would get in front of the right audience, but all Facebook would do was just get individuals to like your page, only to 90 days later to end disliking your page, because basically they were not the right individuals who I was trying to connect with. And so what I'm saying is, when you're trying to build brand awareness, there is a price to trying to do that. There is, on these social media platforms, you got to pay, as one person said, to play. You got to pay to play. However, when you have an email list and you work on that, and you build and develop that email list, you build that relationship, you keep in contact and keep up to date with them, and you follow. When we talk about following analytics, you follow your analytics in terms of who's opening your email list and who's not opening your email. That's what I mean, not email list, but opening your email and not opening your email. Then looking at in terms of, okay, how am I crafting my communication? Why is this connected with so many individuals and not? All of these things become important to helping you to be able to stay in front of the right audience. So when you do have those types of special events like a book launch and releasing your first book, whether through it being an ebook or hard copy, you've built enough of a relationship with individuals that say, yes, I want to be a part of the journey of your new book launch. When it's going to be about, releasing a new online course, you're not depending upon the platforms of YouTube and LinkedIn. You have an email list where you've built relationships with individuals to keep them updating. So increasing your brand awareness and online presence becomes very important in helping you to build a loyal community who want to be a part of what you're doing. And then finally, the last thing that I want to talk about tonight is how email lists can provide you and me long-term value. And what I mean by that is that an email list is a long-term asset that grows in value. And over time, it's going to help you to expand and grow, where you can end up growing your reach and your influence. It's a long-term asset. One of the lessons that I have learned in starting an email list in the past, when I released my first book back in 2015, was making the mistake in seeing it as an immediate tool to try to get me immediate results. That's how I kind of viewed an email list. And as a result, the book, from a marketing standpoint, other than me just sharing it from word of mouth, didn't do as well as I thought it should, because I didn't have the understanding that an email list is a long-term asset. And if used properly, as it grows and expands, you, as a content creator, as an author, as a podcaster, whatever your designated title, blogger, you will be able to grow your reach and your influence, because it's a long-term asset that can provide long-term value to not only to yourself, but to your audience. And this is key from a long-term journey in terms of if you're trying to build a business, a side hustle, increase traffic, release new products or services, or just being a regular content creator, so that you have something that is constant, that you can continue to have a direct and personal communication with your audience. So let me know in the chat, which of you guys who are watching me live in the chat, how do you have an email list, and how often are you using it? Do you have one, and how often are you using it? Or maybe you're like me. You started an email list, but you kind of fell into the content creation process of kind of relying more on the platforms of YouTube and LinkedIn, and you're kind of going through this 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 rat race, if you will, of constantly posting content with the hopes that a video will take off and you'll get in front of the right audience, that you will start growing your channel. Maybe you're an individual like me who've been doing this for the last couple of years, and now seeing the recent events of what's happened with StreamYard, the events that happened with with Restream just over the last year with the Ukraine and Russia conflict. Um, so many things are happening that's impacting, you know, in our online landscape, online video landscape. Let me know in the chat your thoughts and how are you using it. Let me go over here to the chat here. Text says, started a list, but have done little with it. Okay. Let's that, like most of us, tech, that's me and you tonight. So let me throw this question out. What has been some of your challenges on why you've done little with it? I'll share with you some of my challenges, Tech. Let me star your question so as more comments come in. Some of the challenges that I had, as I said before, being able to craft a line of communication and dialogue that in my head is meaningful and relevant, that I can put together. Because in my head, when I sit down and have to write something out, I want it to be something that's really going to be important to you. But because I have that mindset and I never sit down and get in front of the computer and do it, I don't get out of the gate to even find out what I'm typing if it's relevant. And I think what it really comes down to is I just haven't put my cheeks in the seats. That's the bottom line for me. I need to put my cheeks in the seats. Just recently, I'll share with you guys, for so long I've been wanting to put together an online course or put together a second book. And within the last 3 days, I put my cheeks in the seats and putting the outline of that manuscript together. And I was like, wow, I have some stuff here that I can work with. But the only way it was going to really materialize was me putting my cheeks in the seats. So that's one of my challenges. But want to definitely know, if you started an email list and haven't done nothing really with it, what's your hang up? What's some of your challenges? John says, don't really love receiving emails, so I've been reluctant to start sending to others. But that's just me. You know what? You raise another good point. When you look at in terms of how emails are being sent out to us, sometimes where it can be done in a very spammy way. And we're getting emails where it just becomes just like, there are some companies I'm gonna not mention, but there's one company, online video company, that in content creation, that I constantly get, and I'm like, man, another email from you, man, another email from you. I just don't have time to open and read everyone's emails. And so sometimes being over inundated with so many emails, when you see that happening to you, or I see that happening to me, I'll speak for myself, John. When I see that happening for me, there's a desire in me that doesn't want to do that to others. But again, I haven't put myself in the seats. I haven't put my cheeks in the seats to at least start crafting an email so I can get your type of feedback and say, hey, you're sending an email every week. Maybe you need to cut it down to maybe twice a month. Maybe you need to cut it down to once a month so I can get that type of feedback that you're saying. So that's a good point in terms of why sometimes we start something. We see the value in it. We understand in terms of how it could benefit us, but we have these issues in terms of what keeps us from doing it. And then we become more reliant upon these platforms. You know, as more and more as I keep trying to understand YouTube, putting out short form content, I said, okay, I'm gonna put some short form content. It's not gonna have my face on it. I'm just gonna put some other types of graphics on it that'll speak to the topic. And when I kind of see some of the views that it's getting, and I'm saying, okay, I'm not really understanding why this is not happening. Maybe because I'm not doing it as often. But then when I do 4 or 5 shorts, I'm getting averages of 300 to 400 views on the shorts, but getting very few likes on it. And I'm like trying to understand, what do I need to do different? What do I need to change? You know, am I making quality content that's good enough? And the truth of the matter is 300 to 400 people said it was, but they didn't necessarily agree in the like section. I said, you know what? I'm trying to figure out their rules of the game. An email list gives me the ability to set the rules of the game. If I'm promoting it and I'm positioning the list, and that's key. Promoting and positioning the list in the right way to get in front of the right audience, that individuals will say, yeah, I want to sign up for your free copy of your live stream checklist. And I want to be a part of your email list. Now, if I'm sending it at least once a week, getting my cheeks in the seats to get it out at once a week, then it becomes a consistency thing. Tech says, I want to make sure my list gives value, and not just a repeat of my channel's content. Okay, so that's going to take some thought. And I believe you are a professor, a part-time professor who shares teaching materials with your class once a week, twice a week with your class, and you have to kind of put this teaching material together. And I think the lesson that I would pull from you is the same way you kind of structure and put together your lesson plans would be the same way in terms of how you structure and put together some type of newsletter for your audience. But it comes down to, with all these different things that we're talking about, what's keeping us from doing it, we need to just get our cheeks into the seats, or be satisfied enough to just kind of deal with the rules of the game of YouTube and LinkedIn, and just say, hey, look, I'll just keep playing by their rules. Well, the truth of the matter is, the YouTubers, the LinkedIn influencers who are truly making an impact and building a loyal community, I'm convinced they're not depending upon those platforms solely. They're not. They're not. They're depending on email lists. They're depending on their newsletter through that they sending through their and I also understand that it could be a matter of, in terms of time and commitment, and being able to have so many things going on, juggling so many things with life and family, spouses, children, parents. I get that. But again, it comes back to the importance of scheduling the time to make sure those things get done. So when you have a doctor's appointment and you have to go to get, certain things checked out for yourself, it's interesting when it comes to women, they'll go to the doctor. Women will go to the doctor. They'll schedule the time and get the necessary checkups that they need to get themselves checked out, because when women start going to the doctor, there's a record, there's a history that the doctor knows what's going on with them. So if they can catch stuff, early detect stuff before it becomes a greater and serious issue. For most of us as men, and I'm tying this with getting ourselves in the seats of starting an email list and communicating with individuals who've entrusted us with their emails to say they want to hear from us this way, but we just won't find the time to do it. We won't schedule the time to do it. It's like a man not scheduling the time to go get a regular checkup. And then when he gets sick, follow the comparison here, follow the analogy here. He then has to, instead of paying a $30 copay, he ends up paying a $300 copay in the emergency room. He has to sit in the emergency room for 5 to 8 hours to have all these tests being run on him because he wouldn't schedule the time to go do a regular checkup. Okay. And not scheduling the time to do it, what I'm saying is not scheduling the time. You have this email list. You have 20 people who said they want to hear from you, but you don't schedule the time to send anything out. Okay. I'm putting my hand up first. See it right there. And those of you in the chat, you see my hand? Those of you who are watching me live, you see, I'm telling on myself first. But these changes on social media, the changes through the live stream platform, the changes of the algorithms have basically said to you and me, if you want to build a loyal community, if you want to have 1,000 fans who are truly part of your live tribe, you got to build an email list. Hey, if you're getting great value out of this discussion on how to build a loyal community through using your email list, do me a favor, click that thumbs up button for me. I see about at least 5 to 10 of you in the chat. Please make sure you have for me. That lets YouTube know. That lets LinkedIn know. Those of you who are watching me on LinkedIn as well, that lets those platforms know that you have really felt this has been some great content. So click that thumbs up button for me. Share this on your favorite social media platform. If you're new today here on the Huddle and you really gotten great benefit from what we've been talking about here tonight, and you want to learn more about the content we're sharing, on the tips and tools that we make live streaming or online video easy for beginners, subscribe to the channel, click the alert notification button, continue to join the conversation in the live chat. Got a few more minutes before we get up on out of here. So let's pull up some more comments and then we're going to bring this to a close. I honestly feel like 90% of the battle is just reminding people you exist and that you do specific things. Have they heard or seen you in the last week? This is true, John. This is true. That, being in a place of obscurity where people don't know who you are is often, and even let's take the subscribers. Let's take the subscribers. I've been looking at my analytics from a 90-day viewpoint, and it's interesting when it comes to shorts, the shorts that I post, a large percentage of the viewers who watch my shorts are all new viewers based on the data it was saying. Because I've now started to make a concerted effort to do now short form videos, and I tied it to my playlist of the Huddle podcast playlist. About 30% of the subscribers that I have are watching my short-term videos, or maybe they haven't subscribed, but 30% returning viewers come back and watch the short-form videos. Where subscribers are coming in for me on the channel are coming primarily more on live streams, where people are clicking and subscribing on the live stream. And so understanding that data says to me in terms, I say, okay, well, maybe those figures and numbers will change as more people subscribe. And I honestly said, okay, if I follow this data of YouTube, then I'm sitting here doing 3 to 5 live streams a week. Monday would be a live stream on monetization. Wednesday would be a workshop. Friday would be a tutorial. Instead of me taking all that energy and doing all those live streams, I'll just go ahead, post 1 video a week, post 2 shorts a week, do a 1 live stream, put my focus on my email list. And I think by following that, that will get me in front of more individuals. As you said, that's what 90% of the battle is going to be. Getting in front of and staying in front of individuals who've watched your content. But once you kind of start taking that strategy, and I think there's systems and workflows that you have to put in place, eventually it gets better. You again, the content that you do and Sam working with you on your channel with OBS Studios, there's definitely a demand for it. It's definitely giving you the platform you need on being able to get in front of more viewers who will want to be a part of what you're doing. I think that's the way to go. Any other thoughts, any other comments before we go ahead and wrap this up? We've been talking about 5 tips on helping you to build a loyal community with your email list, and just some of the challenges once you do have an email list on being able to be consistent with it. Any other comments, any thoughts? Definitely put a C in front of the comment, or any questions or Q. If not, we're going to go ahead and bring this train into the station. And we're just going to continue to create and share relevant content with you, the viewers, with you, the community, so that way you can meet your goals in content creation. So I want to thank Tech. I want to thank Ender Trading. I want to thank John. And those of you who've been listening live tonight, either on LinkedIn or YouTube, being here on the Huddle as we continue to share tips and tools on making live streaming easy for you as a beginner. John's just 1 comment just jumped in. Thanks, Walt, for having. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. You have a great weekend as well over there in rainy Australia. And we will see you guys soon on the next edition of the Huddle.